Look at this ghetto rat pretending she belongs here. Officer Derek Mitchell's voice cuts through the peaceful Willowbrook Heights shopping center. His boots pound the asphalt as he approaches the black Mercedes. Judge Valerie Henderson sits inside her car, organizing weekend shopping bags. Her casual weekend attire is elegant but understated. She looks up, confused by the commotion outside her window. Mitchell hammers his flashlight against her glass. His face twists with disgust as he leans down. "Step out of the stolen vehicle, lady," he barks loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're not fooling anyone with that innocent act." Henderson slowly rolls down her window, keeping both hands visible. Her voice remains calm despite the public humiliation unfolding around her. "Officer, I believe there's been some mistake." "The only mistake," Mitchell interrupts, grabbing her door handle, "is thinking you could drive around in a car like this without getting caught." More shoppers pull out phones, recording the escalating confrontation. Have you ever watched someone's dignity get destroyed in seconds? Saturday morning sunlight streams through the tall windows of Judge Valerie Henderson's home study. Law books line the mahogany shelves from floor to ceiling. The leather-bound volumes create a fortress of legal knowledge around her antique desk. Henderson sits reviewing case files, her reading glasses perched on her nose. Steam rises from her coffee mug as she makes notes in precise handwriting. The quiet scratching of her pen fills the peaceful room. A framed photograph catches the morning light. Her late father in his judicial robes, standing beside a younger Valerie at her law school graduation. Next to it sits another photo, the same man handing her the keys to a black Mercedes, both of them beaming with pride. She picks up the Mercedes keys from her desk. The metal feels warm in her palm. Engraved on the key fob are the words, "To my daughter, who will change the world, Dad." Henderson closes the case files and heads to her garage. The Mercedes purrs to life, its engine smooth and quiet. She backs out carefully, checking her mirrors twice before pulling onto the tree-lined street. Willowbrook Heights unfolds around her like a postcard. Manicured lawns stretch between colonial homes. Children play on sidewalks while their parents wave from porches. The neighborhood radiates prosperity and safety. At a red light, Henderson spots an elderly white woman struggling with grocery bags outside the local market. She pulls over and steps out. "Let me help you with those, Mrs. Patterson," Henderson offers, recognizing her neighbor. "Oh, Judge Henderson, you're so kind." The woman's face lights up with genuine warmth. "I saw you on the news last week. We're all so proud to have you in our community." Henderson loads the bags into Mrs. Patterson's car, their conversation flowing easily. Other neighbors pass by, nodding respectfully. Several stop to congratulate her on her recent federal appointment. "Thank you again, dear," Mrs. Patterson says, patting Henderson's arm. "Your parents would be so proud." Henderson drives toward the shopping district, classical music playing softly. The afternoon sun warms her face through the sunroof. Everything feels peaceful, normal. Meanwhile, across town, Officer Derek Mitchell cruises through the same neighborhood in his patrol car. His partner, Officer Lisa Rodriguez, sits quietly in the passenger seat, scrolling through incident reports on her tablet. Mitchell's radio crackles with routine chatter. Dispatcher voices announce minor traffic violations and noise complaints. His eyes scan the streets with predatory focus. "Look at this place," Mitchell mutters, gesturing at the expensive homes. "Used to be a decent neighborhood before they started letting just anyone move in." Rodriguez shifts uncomfortably but says nothing. She's heard these comments before. The radio springs to life. "Unit 47, we have a suspicious person report at Willowbrook Heights Shopping Center. Caller reports a black female, approximately 50 years old, casing vehicles in the parking lot. Subject is driving a late-model luxury sedan, license plate unknown." Mitchell grabs the radio immediately. "Unit 47 responding. ETA 3 minutes. Derek, maybe we should..." Rodriguez starts. "Should what?" Mitchell cuts her off, his voice hardening. Let some criminal case cars while we debate it? He flips on the sirens and accelerates toward the shopping center. His jaw clenches with determination. In his mind, he's already caught the perpetrator. Rodriguez watches her partner's profile, noting the familiar gleam in his eyes. She's seen this look before during their 12 years together. It never ends well. At the shopping center, Henderson parks her Mercedes in a designated spot near the main entrance. She locks the car and walks toward the boutique shops, her heels clicking on the clean pavement. Inside the bookstore, she browses legal journals and picks up a novel for weekend reading. The clerk, a young college student, recognizes her from local news coverage. "Judge Henderson!" "It's such an honor," the clerk gushes. "My professor always talks about your landmark civil rights cases." Henderson smiles warmly, signing the young woman's law textbook. These interactions remind her why she chose public service over private practice. Next, she visits the clothing boutique where she's been shopping for years. The owner, Maria, greets her like family. "The usual?" Maria asks, leading her to a rack of professional blazers. "Something a bit more colorful this time," Henderson laughs. "Federal court can be so dreary." As she pays for her purchases, Henderson feels content. This is her community. These are her people. The morning has been perfect, exactly what she needed after a stressful week on the bench. She loads her shopping bags into the Mercedes, completely unaware that patrol car sirens are growing louder in the distance. The trap is set. The hunter approaches his prey, but neither Derek Mitchell nor Valerie Henderson knows that in the next few minutes, both their lives will change forever. The police cruiser's sirens wail as Mitchell speeds into the shopping center parking lot. His tires screech against the asphalt, leaving black marks on the pristine pavement. Shoppers turn their heads, startled by the aggressive arrival. Henderson looks up from arranging her bags in the Mercedes trunk. The flashing red and blue lights reflect off her car's polished surface. She closes the trunk slowly, her movements deliberate and calm. Mitchell kills the engine and jumps out, his heavy boots hitting the ground with force. His hand immediately goes to his weapon holster. Rodriguez follows reluctantly, her face showing concern. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle," Mitchell shouts across the parking lot. His voice echoes off the surrounding buildings, drawing more attention from curious onlookers. Henderson raises her hand slightly, showing she's not a threat. "Officer, is there some kind of problem?" Mitchell approaches with aggressive strides, his chest puffed out with authority. "You know exactly what the problem is, lady." Several shoppers stop their conversations, sensing the tension building. A teenage girl pulls out her phone and starts recording. Her mother tries to pull her away, but the girl resists. "I'm afraid I don't understand," Henderson responds, her voice remaining steady and professional. "Could you please explain why you've stopped me?" Mitchell circles her car like a predator, running his fingers along the paint job. "Nice car. Real nice. Too nice for someone like you, if you ask me." The racist implication hangs in the air like poison. Henderson's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly, but she maintains her composure. "Officer, I own this vehicle legally. I have all the proper documentation." "Save it," Mitchell cuts her off with a dismissive wave. "We've had reports of car thefts in this area, expensive cars going missing, if you know what I mean." Rodriguez steps closer, her voice quiet but firm. "Derek, maybe we should check the registration first." "I'll handle this, Rodriguez," Mitchell snaps, not taking his eyes off Henderson. "Ma'am, I need to see your license and registration. Now." Henderson reaches slowly for her purse, narrating her movements to avoid any misunderstanding. "I'm reaching for my wallet now, officer." She produces her driver's license and vehicle registration, handing them over with steady hands. Mitchell examines the documents with exaggerated suspicion, holding them up to the light as if checking for forgeries. More shoppers gather at a safe distance. Conversations buzz with speculation. An elderly man shakes his head in disgust. A young mother covers her child's eyes. "Valerie Henderson," Mitchell reads aloud, his voice dripping with mock disbelief. "And this registration says the same name. How convenient." Because it's my car, officer, Henderson states simply. Mitchell hands the documents to Rodriguez, who immediately begins running them through the police database on her mobile terminal. The computer screen glows in the afternoon sunlight. Identity theft is a serious crime, ma'am, Mitchell continues his intimidation. These days, criminals get real sophisticated with fake IDs and stolen registrations. Officer, with all due respect, you have no probable cause for this stop, Henderson says, her legal training evident in her precise language. I was legally parked, conducting legitimate business. Don't lecture me about the law! Mitchell's voice rises dangerously. I know exactly what I'm dealing with here. Rodriguez looks up from her terminal, surprise flickering across her face. Derek, the license comes back clean. No warrants, perfect driving record. The registration matches. Run it again, Mitchell orders without looking at his partner. These things can be manipulated. The crowd grows larger. A well-dressed businessman stops his conversation to watch the unfolding drama. Two teenage boys whisper and point. An older woman clutches her pearls, shaking her head. Henderson notices the gathering crowd but refuses to let embarrassment break her dignity. Officer, your computer has verified my identity and vehicle ownership. What exactly are you looking for? Mitchell steps closer, invading her personal space. His breath is hot against her face. What I'm looking for is the truth. And the truth is, someone like you doesn't just own a car like this honestly. The racist statement lands like a physical blow. Several onlookers gasp audibly. A man in a business suit pulls out his phone and starts recording. That's enough, the businessman calls out. This is harassment, pure and simple. Mitchell whirls around, his face flushed with anger. Sir, I need you to step back and mind your own business, or I'll arrest you for interfering with a police investigation. The businessman reluctantly moves back but keeps his phone recording. Rodriguez approaches her partner, speaking in urgent whispers. Derek, we need to end this. She's clean. The car's legal. We have no grounds. I said I'll handle it, Mitchell hisses, pushing his partner away. Henderson watches the exchange with sharp eyes, mentally cataloging every violation of procedure, every breach of protocol. Her legal mind is already building a case. Officer Mitchell, she says, reading his name tag. I'm going to ask you one more time. What specific crime do you suspect me of committing? Don't get smart with me, Mitchell snarls. Smart mouth isn't going to help you here. He keys his radio, calling for backup. Dispatch, Unit 47 requesting additional units at Willowbrook Heights Shopping Center. I have a potentially hostile suspect refusing to cooperate. Henderson's eyes widen at the blatant lie. Officer, I have been completely cooperative. You've been argumentative and evasive from the moment I arrived, Mitchell interrupts. That's suspicious behavior in my book. The sound of additional sirens fills the air. Two more patrol cars speed into the parking lot, their lights flashing. Officers jump out, hands on weapons, ready for a dangerous situation that doesn't exist. The crowd of onlookers swells to over 20 people. Multiple phones are now recording the encounter. The businessman has moved to get a better angle despite Mitchell's earlier threats. Rodriguez looks increasingly uncomfortable as more officers arrive. She knows her partner has escalated a routine stop into a potential civil rights violation. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to place your hands on the hood of your vehicle, Mitchell commands, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Am I under arrest? Henderson asks calmly. You're being detained for investigation, Mitchell replies, using the legal loophole to justify his actions. Henderson complies, placing her hands on the warm metal of her car's hood. The humiliating position exposes her to the stares and phone cameras of dozens of strangers. Mitchell's backup officers look confused by the scene. They expected to find a dangerous criminal, not a well-dressed woman being publicly humiliated. What's the situation here? Asks Sergeant Williams, the senior officer on scene. Possible stolen vehicle, uncooperative suspect, Mitchell reports, his voice carrying across the parking lot. Sergeant Williams examines Henderson, then looks at the Mercedes. Something doesn't add up. The woman is clearly educated, well-dressed, and completely compliant. The car is legally parked with valid registration. "Has anyone run the plates?" Williams asks. "Already done?" Rodriguez speaks up quickly. "Everything checks out clean." Williams frowns, sensing his officer may have overstepped, but Mitchell isn't finished with his power play. "I want to search the vehicle," Mitchell announces. "Someone this defensive is definitely hiding something." Henderson straightens up, her legal training kicking into high gear. "Officer, you do not have probable cause to search my vehicle." "I do not consent to any search." "Well, well," Mitchell smirks. "Sounds like someone knows their rights a little too well." "Where'd you learn all that legal talk? Prison?" The crowd erupts in murmurs of disapproval. Even some of the backup officers look uncomfortable with Mitchell's obvious prejudice. Henderson takes a deep breath, realizing that this situation has spiraled completely out of control. She has two choices: continue to endure this public humiliation or reveal her identity and end Mitchell's career. The decision crystallizes in her mind as Mitchell continues his tirade, unaware that he's about to make the biggest mistake of his life. Mitchell circles Henderson's Mercedes like a shark smelling blood. His fingertips trace along the car's pristine surface, leaving smudges on the polished paint. The afternoon sun beats down mercilessly as the crowd of onlookers continues to grow. "You know what I think?" Mitchell announces loudly, playing to his audience. "I think this whole innocent act is just that, an act." Henderson remains positioned with her hands on the hood, her professional composure intact despite the public degradation. Sweat beads form on her forehead from the heat and stress, but her voice stays level. "Officer, I've provided all requested documentation." "My record is clean. What more do you need?" "What I need," Mitchell sneers, "is for you to drop the attitude and admit what we both know is true." Sergeant Williams approaches Rodriguez, speaking in low tones. "Lisa, what exactly happened here?" "This doesn't look like any stolen car stop I've seen." Rodriguez shifts nervously, torn between loyalty to her partner and her growing certainty that Mitchell has crossed the line. "Anonymous tip came in about suspicious activity. Derek responded and it just escalated." "Escalated how?" Williams presses, his weathered face showing concern. Before Rodriguez can answer, Mitchell's voice booms across the parking lot again. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to empty all your pockets. Slowly." Henderson turns her head slightly, maintaining eye contact with her tormentor. "Officer, what are you looking for specifically?" "Drugs, weapons, stolen property, fake IDs. Take your pick," Mitchell responds, his contempt evident to everyone within earshot. He pulls out his own phone and starts taking pictures of Henderson in her humiliating position. A middle-aged black woman in the crowd steps forward, her voice shaking with anger. "This is ridiculous. Can't you see she's done nothing wrong?" Mitchell spins around, his hand moving instinctively toward his weapon. The silver badge on his chest catches the sunlight as he puffs out his chest. "Ma'am, I need you to step back immediately or you'll be joining her." The woman's husband quickly pulls her back, but not before she shouts, "Everyone's recording this!" "Everyone can see what you're doing." Mitchell's eyes scan the crowd, noticing for the first time how many phones are pointed in his direction. Instead of backing down, his aggression intensifies like a cornered animal. "Put those phones away," he barks, spit flying from his mouth. "This is an ongoing police investigation." "We have every right to record in public," calls out the businessman who started filming earlier. His expensive suit and confident demeanor mark him as someone accustomed to authority. "Sir, I warned you once already," Mitchell threatens, taking steps toward the man. His heavy boots thud against the asphalt with each aggressive stride. Henderson uses the distraction to stand up straight, her dignity radiating despite her circumstances. The blazer she wore to look casual now seems almost regal in its simplicity. "Officer Mitchell, this has gone far enough." You have no legal basis for this detention. Mitchell whirls back to face her, his face flushed red with rage. Veins bulge on his forehead as his temper spirals completely out of control. Legal basis? I'll give you legal basis. You're in possession of a vehicle that doesn't belong to someone like you. That's probable cause enough for me. The racist statement hits like a thunderclap. Several people in the crowd gasp audibly. A teenage girl starts crying, overwhelmed by the injustice she's witnessing. Her mother wraps protective arms around her shoulders. Rodriguez can't stay silent any longer. Derek, please. Let's just run the plates one more time and— Stay out of this, Rodriguez! Mitchell snarls, spittle hitting his partner's face. I'm handling it my way. He keys his radio again, the static crackling through the tense air. Dispatch, Unit 47 requesting a K-9 unit for drug detection. Suspect is being uncooperative and evasive. Henderson's legal mind processes the escalating violations of her constitutional rights like a computer cataloging evidence. False imprisonment, racial profiling, illegal detention, harassment, the list grows by the minute. Officer, I want to speak with your supervisor, she states firmly, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. You're looking at him right now, Mitchell lies brazenly, ignoring Sergeant Williams, who stands just 20 feet away, his face growing darker by the minute. Williams finally steps forward, his 23 years of experience telling him this situation has gone completely off the rails. Mitchell, what's the actual status here? Suspected stolen vehicle, sir. Subject refuses to cooperate with the investigation, Mitchell reports, his voice taking on a fake professional tone. Williams looks at Henderson, noting her expensive clothing, perfect posture, and calm demeanor. Then he glances at the documentation Rodriguez is holding. The registration checks out clean? Yes, sir. Clean license, clean record, everything completely legitimate, Rodriguez responds quickly, hoping her supervisor will end this nightmare. Williams frowns deeply, his mustache twitching with disapproval. Mitchell, I think we should wrap this up and— Sir, with all due respect, I'd like to finish my investigation. Mitchell interrupts his superior officer, a breach of protocol that makes Williams's eyes narrow dangerously. The K-9 unit arrives with sirens blaring, adding to the chaos. Officer James Park exits with his German Shepherd, the dog's ears perked up and alert. Park looks confused by the scene before him. What exactly am I looking for here? Park asks, his tone suggesting he already suspects this is a waste of time. Drugs in the vehicle, Mitchell responds immediately, pointing at the Mercedes like it's evidence of a crime. Henderson's patience finally reaches its breaking point. 2 decades of legal training and judicial experience crystallize into pure authority. I do not consent to any search of my vehicle. You have no warrant, no probable cause, and absolutely no legal justification for this harassment. Harassment! Mitchell's voice rises to near shouting levels, echoing off the surrounding buildings. Lady, I'm trying to protect this community from criminals like you. The crowd erupts in angry murmurs. Several people shout objections. A woman calls out, "Shame on you!" while others express their disgust more colorfully. A young man starts chanting, "Let her go!" Mitchell's backup officers exchange uncomfortable glances. They're beginning to realize their colleague has lost control of the situation entirely. One officer quietly starts backing toward his patrol car. You want to know what I think happened? Mitchell continues his rant, now completely unhinged, his voice carrying across the entire shopping center. I think you stole this car this morning from some hard-working person. I think you came to this nice neighborhood to case other vehicles. I think you're running some kind of organized theft ring with your criminal friends. Each accusation lands like a physical blow across Henderson's face. But instead of breaking her composure, Mitchell's attacks only strengthen her resolve and sharpen her focus. Officer Mitchell, she says quietly, but her voice carries clearly across the lot with the precision of someone who commands courtrooms. Do you have any actual evidence to support these serious accusations? The evidence is right in front of me. Mitchell gestures wildly with both hands, his movements becoming more erratic. Someone like you, in a car like this, in a neighborhood like this. The math doesn't add up, and I wasn't born yesterday. Someone like me? Henderson repeats, her voice taking on a dangerous edge that makes Rodriguez take an involuntary step backward. You know exactly what I mean, Mitchell smirks, confident he has the upper hand, completely oblivious to the legal volcano about to erupt beneath his feet. The crowd falls silent, sensing a shift in the dynamics like animals before an earthquake. Henderson straightens to her full height, her presence commanding despite her circumstances. Rodriguez moves closer to Williams, her voice urgent and worried. Sir, I really think we need to end this before something terrible happens. Before what? Mitchell interrupts, overhearing his partner's concerns. Before we catch a criminal? Before we actually do our jobs and clean up this neighborhood? Henderson reaches slowly into her blazer pocket, her movements deliberate and measured. Officer Mitchell, I think it's time you knew exactly who you're dealing with. Keep your hands where I can see them, Mitchell shouts, his hand moving to his weapon grip, the leather holster creaking under his grip. I'm reaching for my identification, Henderson announces clearly, her movements visible to all the recording phones and growing crowd of witnesses. I already saw your fake driver's license, Mitchell sneers, his confidence unshakable. Whatever forgery you've got in there isn't going to help you. This isn't my driver's license, Henderson replies calmly, her fingers closing around a leather credential holder that will change everything. The crowd presses closer, sensing something momentous is about to happen. Rodriguez holds her breath. Williams takes a step forward, suddenly alert to the shifting energy. Mitchell remains oblivious, his prejudice blinding him to the approaching destruction of his career. His arrogance has become a runaway train heading straight for a concrete wall. Whatever piece of paper you're about to show me, he laughs, the sound harsh and grating. It's not going to change anything. You're still a criminal in a stolen car, and I'm still the one with the badge. Henderson's fingers tighten on the credential holder. 20 years of legal experience have taught her exactly when to reveal her hand. That moment has arrived like destiny itself. Officer Mitchell, she says, her voice carrying the authority of federal law and constitutional power, you've just made the biggest mistake of your entire miserable life. The crowd holds its collective breath as Henderson prepares to destroy the racist cop who thought he could humiliate a federal judge with impunity. Henderson's fingers close around the leather credential holder with deliberate precision. The crowd leans forward collectively, sensing the electric moment of change crackling through the air. Officer Mitchell, she announces, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. I am Judge Valerie Henderson of the United States Federal District Court. She flips open the credential holder, revealing the official federal judicial identification card. The golden eagle seal catches the afternoon sunlight, gleaming with unmistakable authority. Mitchell's smirk freezes on his face like ice cracking. His eyes dart from the ID to Henderson's face, then back to the ID. The color drains from his cheeks as reality crashes down on him. That's impossible, he stammers, his voice barely a whisper. Officer James Park, Henderson continues, addressing the K-9 handler directly, you can verify my credentials through federal law enforcement channels. Badge number 4, A7-2891. Park immediately steps back, his face going pale as he recognizes the magnitude of what he's witnessing. His German shepherd whines, sensing the tension radiating from every human present. Rodriguez gasps audibly, her hand flying to cover her mouth. Oh my God, Derek. Oh my God, what have you done? The crowd erupts in shocked murmurs. Phones adjust angles to capture Mitchell's expression as it transforms from arrogance to pure terror. A woman near the front shouts, "He just tried to arrest a federal judge." Sergeant Williams steps forward quickly, his face grave with the understanding that his department is about to face a federal civil rights investigation. Your Honor, I am so deeply sorry. Sergeant Williams, Henderson interrupts, her judicial authority now fully engaged. I need you to secure this scene immediately. All body camera footage must be preserved. All witness contact information must be collected. Williams nods rapidly, pulling out his radio. All units, this is a code blue situation. Secure the perimeter and begin witness documentation immediately. Mitchell stands frozen, his world collapsing around him. The weapon he'd been so eager to display now feels like a 1,000-pound weight on his hip. His mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. Your Honor, I was just... The call said... He tries to speak, but coherent words fail him. The call said what exactly? Henderson demands, her voice carrying the same authority she uses to control federal courtrooms. That a black woman didn't deserve to own a Mercedes? The businessman who'd been filming steps closer, his phone capturing every moment. Your Honor, we all witnessed what happened here. This officer made numerous racist statements. Other witnesses begin speaking up, their voices overlapping in a chorus of condemnation. He said she didn't belong here. He kept talking about someone like her. He refused to believe the registration was real. Henderson raises her hand, and the crowd falls silent instantly. 20 years on the federal bench have taught her how to command respect with a simple gesture. Officer Mitchell, she addresses her tormentor directly, you have violated my Fourth Amendment rights, engaged in racial profiling, and conducted an illegal detention. Do you understand the gravity of your actions? Mitchell's legs wobble beneath him. Sweat pours down his face despite the afternoon breeze. Your Honor, I didn't know... I was just responding to a call. You didn't know what? Henderson's voice sharpens like a prosecutor cross-examining a hostile witness. You didn't know that racial profiling is illegal? You didn't know that citizens have constitutional rights? Rodriguez steps toward her partner, her face filled with disgust and shame. Derek, I tried to tell you. I tried to stop this. Park quickly loads his dog back into the K-9 unit, wanting no part of the disaster unfolding before him. Other backup officers begin retreating to their vehicles, distancing themselves from Mitchell's catastrophe. The crowd continues growing as word spreads through the shopping center. Store employees emerge from buildings, drawn by the commotion. A local news crew, monitoring police scanners, speeds into the parking lot. Henderson straightens her blazer, every inch the federal judge she is. Sergeant Williams, I want Officer Mitchell placed on immediate administrative leave pending a full investigation. Yes, Your Honor. Absolutely, Williams responds, his voice tight with professional embarrassment. Mitchell finally finds his voice, desperation making him bold. Your Honor, please. I have a family. I have kids. This was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Henderson's eyebrows rise with judicial incredulity. Officer Mitchell, you accused me of being a car thief, threatened me with arrest, demanded illegal searches, and made explicitly racist statements. Which part was misunderstood? The crowd buzzes with approval at Henderson's measured but devastating response. Several people applaud openly, while others continue recording the historic confrontation. Williams approaches Mitchell, his hand extended. Badge and weapon, Mitchell, now! Mitchell's hands shake as he unclips his badge from his uniform shirt. The metal feels heavy in his palm as he hands it over to his supervisor. His service weapon follows, the holster now empty and useless. 15 years on the force, Mitchell whispers, staring at his bare chest where his badge used to rest. 15 years of this behavior, more likely, Henderson responds coldly. How many other citizens have you harassed, Officer Mitchell? How many other people didn't have the resources to fight back? Rodriguez steps forward, her conscience finally clear. Your Honor, there have been complaints. Multiple complaints over the years. They were always dismissed or buried. Williams's face hardens as he realizes the department's liability extends far beyond this single incident. Rodriguez, I'll need a full statement from you. The news crew sets up quickly, their camera operator capturing the scene as the reporter approaches Henderson respectfully. Your Honor, would you be willing to make a statement? Henderson considers for a moment, then nods. She understands the importance of this moment extending beyond her personal humiliation. What happened here today, she begins, addressing the camera directly, happens to countless Americans who don't have the privilege of judicial credentials to protect them. This must end. Mitchell slumps against a nearby car, the full weight of his destroyed career crushing down on him. His pension, his reputation, his future, all sacrificed for 15 minutes of racist power tripping. The power dynamic has completely reversed. Where once Henderson stood humiliated and powerless, she now commands the scene with absolute authority. Where once Mitchell strutted with arrogant confidence, he now cowers in disgrace. Henderson pockets her judicial credentials, the leather holder having served its devastating purpose. Sergeant Williams, I'll expect a full report on my desk within 48 hours. Yes, Your Honor, you'll have it. The federal judge who minutes ago was treated like a criminal now stands triumphant, her dignity restored and her tormentor destroyed. Justice, delayed by prejudice, has finally arrived with the force of federal law. Sergeant Williams keys his radio with shaking hands. Dispatch, I need Captain Thompson at Willowbrook Heights Shopping Center immediately. Code Blue priority. The crowd swells as news spreads through social media. Teenagers live stream to thousands of viewers. Comments flood in faster than eyes can read them. Mitchell slumps against a patrol car, his empty holster stark reminder of his fallen status. His face turns ashen gray, like a man receiving terminal diagnosis. Sweat stains spread across his uniform. 15 years, he mumbles repeatedly, staring at his bare chest. 15 goddamn years. Rodriguez approaches Henderson with genuine remorse. Your Honor, I am so deeply sorry. I should have stopped this sooner. Henderson studies the younger officer with judicial eyes. Officer Rodriguez, your testimony will be crucial in preventing this from happening to others. Yes, ma'am. I'll tell them everything. Rodriguez nods, glancing at her disgraced partner with disgust. Captain Robert Thompson's sedan speeds into the parking lot, tires squealing. He's been a cop for 30 years and recognizes career-ending disasters. Thompson approaches Henderson immediately, removing his cap. Your Honor, I am Captain Thompson. On behalf of the entire department, I offer our deepest apologies. Captain Thompson, Henderson acknowledges. This represents systemic failure extending far beyond one officer's actions. Yes, ma'am. We'll conduct full investigation and implement necessary reforms, Thompson promises, calculating the federal oversight coming. Mitchell lurches forward desperately. Captain, please. I was responding to legitimate call. I followed protocol. Shut up, Mitchell, Thompson snaps, face flushed with anger. You've done enough damage. Thompson officially relieves Mitchell of duty. Derek Mitchell, you are suspended without pay pending full investigation and possible criminal charges. Applause erupts from onlookers. Someone shouts, About time! Mitchell's humiliation is complete and public. Reporter Sarah Kim approaches respectfully. Your Honor, Channel 7 News, would you share what happened today? Henderson considers carefully, understanding her words will shape public perception. What occurred represents unchecked racial profiling patterns. No American should endure this. Kim faces the camera. This is Sarah Kim reporting where federal judge Valerie Henderson was subjected to egregious racial profiling by an officer now suspended. Mitchell is escorted to Thompson's vehicle. His head hangs in shame as phones capture his walk of disgrace. The man who wielded absolute power moves like a broken puppet. Your Honor, Williams approaches, we'll need your official statement. Sergeant, I'll provide written statement within 24 hours, Henderson replies. But this cannot be swept under the rug like previous complaints. The story spreads beyond local news. National outlets pick up live streams. Social justice organizations mobilize support. Hashtag Judge Henderson trends within minutes. Thompson returns from securing Mitchell. Your Honor, we'd provide escort home. It's the least we can do. That won't be necessary, Captain, Henderson declines. I'm perfectly capable of driving myself, as I was before Officer Mitchell's illegal detention. The pointed reminder makes Thompson wince. Every word Henderson speaks will be scrutinized by federal investigators. Rodriguez approaches one final time. Your Honor, there are others. Other people Derek treated this way. They deserve justice too. Henderson places gentle hand on the officer's shoulder. Officer Rodriguez, your courage will help ensure they receive it. Henderson walks toward her Mercedes with renewed dignity. The car that was evidence of supposed criminality now represents vindication. She unlocks the door and slides behind the wheel. She watches Mitchell's final moments as police officer. Thompson's vehicle pulls away, carrying the disgraced cop toward uncertain future of legal battles and public shame. Henderson starts her engine, the Mercedes purring exactly as hours earlier. But everything has changed. She's become symbol of dignity facing injustice. Driving past the crowd, spontaneous applause follows her path. Store employees wave from doorways. The community that witnessed humiliation now celebrates triumph. Immediate consequences are clear. Mitchell's career over, department faces federal scrutiny, Henderson transformed from victim to victor. This is only beginning of larger reckoning reshaping police accountability. 3 weeks after the parking lot confrontation, FBI Special Agent Maria Santos sits across from Henderson in her federal courthouse chambers. Stacks of complaint files cover the mahogany desk like evidence of institutional decay. Your Honor, we've uncovered a pattern spanning Mitchell's entire career, Santos reports grimly. 47 formal complaints, 32 involving racial minorities, all dismissed or buried by supervisors. Henderson reviews the files with judicial precision, her reading glasses reflecting afternoon light. Each complaint tells a story of dignity destroyed and justice denied. Agent Santos, this represents systematic civil rights violations, Henderson states. I'm recusing myself from related cases, but this demands federal prosecution. The FBI investigation exploded beyond a single incident. Department emails reveal supervisors actively covering up Mitchell's misconduct. Internal affairs reports were altered. Complaint files mysteriously disappeared. Meanwhile, Mitchell sits in his attorney's cramped office, face gaunt from sleepless nights. His lawyer, David Price, spreads legal documents across the scratched desk with little optimism. Derek, federal charges are serious, Price explains. Civil rights violations carry 3 years minimum. The prosecution has video evidence, witness testimony, your own partner testifying against you. Mitchell's hands shake, lighting another cigarette. His police pension is frozen. His wife filed for separation. The newspaper runs daily updates, each headline more damning. How was I supposed to know she was a judge? Mitchell whines, voice cracking. That's exactly the problem, Derek, Price snaps. You shouldn't have treated anyone that way, judge or not. The story ignited national conversations about police accountability. CNN features Henderson on prime time. Social media campaigns demand justice. Civil rights organizations rally support coast to coast. In Washington, Department of Justice officials announce federal investigation into the entire police department. Assistant Attorney General Rebecca Torres holds a press conference broadcast nationwide. The behavior witnessed represents unacceptable constitutional violations, Torres declares. Justice Department will pursue all available remedies ensuring accountability. Henderson watches from her chambers, knowing her humiliation sparked systemic change. Her secretary enters with interview requests from national media outlets. Your Honor, 60 Minutes wants weekend interview, Janet reports. Also, NAACP is planning a march in your honor. Schedule the interview, Henderson decides. This story needs reaching every American who's experienced what I endured. At the police station, Captain Thompson faces his own reckoning. Internal affairs investigators occupy conference rooms, interviewing officers about years of covered-up misconduct. Federal funding hangs in balance. Rodriguez sits across from Internal Affairs Detective Sharon Williams, her testimony crucial to multiple cases. Detective Williams, Derek bragged about these stops, called them cleaning up the neighborhood. Supervisors knew but looked away. Evidence mounts daily. Body camera footage reveals similar incidents. Dispatch recordings capture racist language. Personnel files show complaints systematically buried by commanding officers. Mitchell's victims begin coming forward. James Washington, a black accountant, describes being pulled over 6 times in 2 years. Maria Gonzalez, a Latina teacher, recounts being handcuffed outside her own school. Each story follows the same harassment pattern. Henderson meets with federal prosecutors in a secure conference room. Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Carter presents the government's case with prosecutorial confidence. "Your Honor, we're filing federal charges under Section 242, Carter explains. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Mitchell faces 3 years mandatory minimum, possible 5-year maximum. What about supervisors who enabled this behavior? Henderson asks pointedly. Separate charges for conspiracy and obstruction of justice, Carter confirms. This corruption goes straight to the top. The trial begins 6 months later in Henderson's own courthouse, though she's recused. Judge Patricia Wong takes the case, ensuring fair proceedings despite intense media attention. Mitchell enters the courtroom looking 20 years older, hair grayed from stress. His family sits in back, faces masked with grief and embarrassment. Prosecutor Carter addresses the jury with devastating precision. Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant didn't just violate Judge Henderson's rights. He violated the constitutional promise that all Americans are equal under law. Video evidence plays on courtroom monitors. Mitchell's racist statements echo through the chamber. Jurors watch his aggressive behavior, faces showing disgust and disbelief. Rodriguez takes the witness stand, voice steady despite emotional strain. Derek told me he was protecting decent folks from undesirable elements. Those were his exact words. Defense attorney Price struggles with an impossible case. His client's actions are recorded, witnessed, indefensible. The best he manages is pleading for mercy. My client made terrible mistakes, Price admits, but destroying his life won't undo harm caused. The prosecution presents 47 complaint files, each representing another victim. Expert witnesses testify about systemic racism in policing. Community members share their own racial profiling experiences. Henderson testifies on the trial's final day, judicial authority lending weight to every word. She describes the humiliation, dignity violation, constitutional assault she endured. I had the privilege of credentials that protected me, Henderson tells the jury. Most Americans facing similar treatment have no such defense. This trial is about protecting them. The jury deliberates 90 minutes, barely enough time to elect a foreman. Their verdict is swift and unanimous, guilty on all federal charges. Judge Wong sentences Mitchell to 4 years federal prison, maximum allowable under guidelines. Mr. Mitchell, you betrayed your oath, violated the Constitution, damaged community trust. This sentence reflects your crime's gravity. Mitchell collapses as the gavel falls. His attorney steadies him while bailiffs prepare handcuffs. The man who once wielded authority now faces years behind bars. Outside the courthouse, Henderson addresses gathered media one final time. This verdict sends a clear message. No one is above the law, and no American is beneath its protection. The department faces federal oversight for the next decade. New training programs focus on constitutional rights and bias awareness. Body cameras become mandatory. A civilian oversight board gains real investigative power. Rodriguez, promoted to detective after courageous testimony, leads the department's new community policing initiative. She works daily rebuilding trust between officers and residents. Mitchell begins serving sentence at a federal facility 3 states away. Fellow inmates know his story. Corrupt cops don't fare well in prison. He spends days in protective custody, contemplating racist attitudes that destroyed his life. The broader impact resonates nationwide. Police departments review complaint procedures. Federal investigators examine similar patterns in other cities. Henderson's case becomes required study in law enforcement academies. Justice, long delayed by institutional racism, has finally arrived with federal law's full force. The system that failed so many victims has been reformed, ensuring Mitchell's crimes represent an era's end rather than business as usual. 6 months later, Judge Henderson sits in her federal chambers, reviewing a civil rights case remarkably similar to her own experience. Afternoon sunlight streams through tall windows, illuminating legal briefs that now carry profound personal meaning. Her desk holds a framed photograph from last week's police academy graduation. She stands beside 30 new officers who completed enhanced bias training, a program born from her parking lot confrontation. Their faces reflect hope for different policing. Detective Rodriguez enters, carrying quarterly reports on the department's community policing initiative. Her promotion was earned through courage and integrity during Henderson's darkest moment. Your Honor, complaints against officers are down 60%. Community trust surveys show significant improvement, Rodriguez reports proudly. Henderson reviews the data with satisfaction. Numbers tell stories of lives unchanged, dignity preserved, constitutional rights protected. Mathematical proof that systemic change creates measurable results. Outside her window, the shopping center where everything changed looks identical, but invisible dynamics have shifted permanently. New policies require body cameras, mandate de-escalation training, create real accountability for misconduct. Her phone buzzes with a text from her nephew. Saw your CNN interview. You're trending again, Aunt Val. Hashtag justice served. The hashtag makes her smile. Social media transformed personal trauma into national movement. Millions shared her story, sparking conversations in homes, schools, police stations across America. A leather-bound journal contains letters from strangers whose lives her case touched. Maria from Texas writes about her son's respectful traffic stop. James from Ohio describes gaining courage to file complaints against racist officers. One recent entry reads, Your Honor, watching you maintain dignity while demanding justice inspired me to pursue civil rights law. Thank you for showing us how strength looks. These letters remind her that personal pain, transformed through purpose, becomes powerful change. Her father's Mercedes keys rest nearby, still engraved, To my daughter, who will change the world. Captain Thompson calls with news. Mitchell was denied parole after 18 months. Prison officials cited continued lack of remorse and failure to complete mandatory bias counseling. Justice sometimes requires patience, Henderson reflects, knowing true accountability extends beyond punishment to genuine transformation. Her calendar shows next week's Harvard Law School speaking engagement. Constitutional rights in practice, when personal experience meets legal theory. Standing ovations now greet her, but the message remains unchanged. A news alert appears. Federal oversight of Willowbrook Heights Police Department extended 5 years due to sustained progress in community relations, and victory measured in institutional change rather than personal vindication. Henderson walks to her window, watching families shop peacefully. Children play while parents chat without fear. The community that witnessed her humiliation now enjoys safer, more respectful policing because courage confronted corruption. Her clerk announces that 60 Minutes wants to film a follow-up segment about long-term impacts. The story beginning with racist hatred has become a beacon of hope for communities nationwide. As evening approaches, Henderson prepares to leave chambers. Her Mercedes awaits in the judicial parking garage, no longer a symbol of undeserved privilege but proof that dignity and determination overcome institutional prejudice. She opens her laptop to record a brief video message for her millions of social media followers, a platform never sought but accepted as responsibility. Friends, she begins, looking directly into camera. 6 months ago, a racist police officer tried to destroy my dignity in a shopping center parking lot. Today, that same lot represents hope for equal justice under law. She pauses, choosing words carefully. Real change requires each of us to speak up when witnessing injustice. Share stories that matter. Demand accountability from those in power. Transform your pain into purpose. The video concludes with her signature message: "No one is above the law, and no American is beneath its protection." Together, we ensure justice isn't just an ideal, it's reality for every citizen. Henderson posts the video, watching immediate responses flood her notifications. Hearts, shares, comments expressing gratitude and determination. A digital community united by shared commitment to constitutional rights. Driving home, Henderson reflects on the journey from victim to victor to advocate. Her father's gift, the Mercedes that nearly became evidence of supposed criminality, now carries her toward a future where skin color doesn't determine law enforcement treatment. The sun sets behind her as she turns into her driveway, golden light reflecting off the car that changed everything. Tomorrow brings new cases, new challenges, new opportunities to bend justice's arc toward equality. She parks beside family photos in her garage, the same images from months ago. But everything has changed. She has changed. America has changed. One conversation, one case, one courage at a time. Share this story if you believe equal justice matters. Comment with your experiences. Subscribe for police reform updates. Follow for more stories of ordinary people creating extraordinary change. In a country where a federal judge can be treated like a criminal because of her race, what does that say about justice in America? More importantly, what are you going to do to change it? Remember, dignity isn't given, it's claimed. Justice isn't guaranteed, it's demanded. Change isn't inevitable, it's earned. The garage door closes as Henderson enters her home, ready to rest before tomorrow's continued fight for constitutional equality and human dignity.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.